Hi, it's Carly here on the Muddy Path, and today I was going to talk about how to get your kids eating vegetables. So stay tuned and see what I have to say about that. Okay, so if you saw our documentary Beyond the Spectrum, you would see Oscar not eating a lot of vegetables. In fact, I think there's one scene where Steph is wrapping a carrot in a piece of bacon. So that didn't work, and we see that in the documentary. And we had to go through a bunch of different things in order to get him eating, which, well, if we can insert a picture, it would be him just stealing like heads of lettuce. He eats mixed greens by the handful. So how do you go from that to not wanting a carrot wrapped in bacon to eating handfuls of mixed greens? So, well, it wasn't something that happened overnight. So that would probably be one of my first things is get that out of your head right now. It's not going to happen overnight. It may not even happen within a month. And for us, it took a few elimination diets in order to kind of get to that point. The elimination diets, although are very, very challenging and sometimes very expensive, the one thing is that they will actually change your gut bugs. So your gut bugs are going to actually change part of your palate. So if you're really craving a lot of sweets, it's probably because your gut bugs are out of whack. And in Oscar's case, he was actually craving a lot of salty and crunchy food. In fact, everything he ate had to have a crunch texture to it. That was Oscar tends to like a lot of input. So for him, eating a crunchy food gave him the impact, where in some ways Ted was the exact opposite, because Ted wouldn't eat anything that had any sort of crunch and had to be perfectly pureed. So those are their sort of sensitivities. One's hypo and hyper. But in order to get somebody that always wants to eat crunchy food, we wanted to eat vegetables, what we did is said, okay, he likes crunchy, he likes salty. Got a dehydrator, and we dehydrated everything. In some ways, this was kind of when we were on the gaps. And actually, I believe it was a suggestion by Jackie McMillan, so thanks, Jackie. But we actually cooked and boiled veggies like carrots and beets in like broths, and then we actually dehydrated them to make them crunchy and put some, nice big cracked salt like on them. So that for Oscar was like just like the best. We did zucchini, we did like sweet potatoes, everything. We turned everything into a form of chip, and he just by putting everything in that crunchy, salty flavor, eventually we could taper it off. So eventually things didn't get as dehydrated, and they may not have had as much salt on it. But in time, his palate was changing, and he realized that he actually liked carrots. So then we were able to give him raw carrots. And I think that's another kind of thing to think about. If your kids aren't eating them in this form, will they eat them in another form? So try boiling vegetables, try roasting vegetables, try steaming vegetables, try eating them raw. There's a lot of things, like even a sweet potato you can eat raw. I mean, I wouldn't want to eat a lot of it, and it's a lot harder to digest, but you'd be really surprised at, what you can eat in the different forms of it. The other thing is to just even try and add spices. So in one of my other videos, I mentioned just thinking about what sort of spice palette your kids really like and working from there. So again, if your kids like a certain flavor, you can sprinkle them when you're roasting them, or sauteing them even. You're putting some of those flavors on, and then if they're strong flavors like salt, then that's what they can actually almost want to keep eating it, because that's what they keep wanting. Another thing that we did, which probably not long term, you don't really want to do this, but we really wanted to do a lot of more leafy greens with the kids. And, you know, Liv and Ted were really good about it. Oscar was pretty much eating everything at that point, but Izzy and Annika were still not happy with the mixed greens. And I mean, they do have a strong flavor, which for, again, Oscar, when his palate changed, he actually liked the strong flavors of like spinach and arugula. It was kind of strange. But for the girls, they would eat like romaine lettuce, but they wouldn't want to eat like a mixed green. So we drizzled honey on it. And I would, you know, in the beginning, it was probably a lot of honey. But I mean, we made sure it was, you know, a high quality honey, a raw honey, so that even has some beneficial properties to it as well. And in time, we could then mix the honey with like an olive oil and sort of make it more as a dressing. And then after that, we put less and less honey in it too. It was just drizzling olive oil in it. So again, I mean, it does take a bit of effort and time, and some of the things that I'm saying are, you know, kind of maybe obvious, but when you're in the trenches and you're trying really hard to change this diet and get your kids to eat more vegetables, it can just be overwhelming. And so maybe something I said today resonates with you. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below. And if not, it was great seeing you again on the Muddy Path. Thanks for watching.